Hi, welcome to this lesson on topic 14. And in this lesson, we're going to quickly recap and expand on an idea you should already be familiar with from your prior chemistry learning, and that's solids, liquids, and gases. So, as you should be aware, solids, liquids, and gases have very different arrangements, intermolecular forces, volumes, and distances between particles. As you can see here, solids have regular, fixed lattice arrangements, whereas gases, on the other hand, are far more spread out. Solids have very strong intermolecular forces between the particles. The intermolecular forces are weaker between the liquid particles, and they are far weaker between gas particles. As you can see, gases take up a much larger volume compared to solids. And there's a far greater distance between the particles in gases compared to liquids and solids. However, they have one thing in common. All of these particles, whether they're solid, liquid, or gas, they are moving. They all have kinetic energy and potential energy, and this combined is known as internal energy. An important concept in this topic is the idea of density. As we move from a solid to a liquid and to a gas, as water transitions from ice to water to steam, what happens to its density? Pause the video and think. So, as we saw in the previous diagram, as we move from a solid to a liquid to a gas, the distance between the particles increases. As its distance increases, the volume that each state of matter takes increases as you move towards gas. As the volume increases, gases have a much lower density. So let's look at this process in more detail. When we move from a solid to a liquid, that process is known as melting. As we transition from a liquid to a gas, that process is evaporation. And in some cases, solids can directly turn into a gas, and that process is known as sublimation. On the other hand, as gas turns to liquid, that process is known as condensation. And liquids that turn into a solid are frozen. In some cases, gases can directly turn into solids, and that process is known as deposition. But as we move from a solid to a gas, energy is transferred and the kinetic and internal energy of the particles increases. The particles move further apart due to weaker intermolecular forces between them, and as they move apart, the volume also increases. Now, whether we're in a solid, liquid, or gas, the total number of particles, the amount of matter considered, remains the same. Because the matter or the mass remains the same and the volume increases, density will decrease. That's all for this very short introduction into states of matter. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, please do ask.